I want to stomp on this idea that women were taught to hate men or they were fooled into hating men. This is severe coping by men that should have died off decades ago. This is ChishaZed, and he talks about this. And the trouble with this is, Chisha, if you ever see this, women were calling men rapists in the 1960s. They were giving white feathers to men to go die in war in the 1910s. So him blaming TikTok is bullshit too. But we'll get into this.
Joseph YouTube, welcome to the Coffee Pot. My name is ChishaZed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
My problematic view on men. You're not going to want to miss this. No more wasting time. Let's get it.
I came to the realization today that I have a really problematic view about men, and more specifically men as fathers. Because tell me why I was scrolling through Facebook and I came across this gender reveal party, and I was watching the father for his reaction, and when he found out he was having a boy, I got secondhand embarrassment from how hard he was celebrating over the fact that he's gonna have a boy.
I'll tell you why, because you're a misandrist. You're a typical woman who has typical hostility towards men. Zed, I want you to look at this woman. This is an average woman. This is how women feel about us. So you got to get rid of the cope. And secondly, and just as importantly, this woman is a sheep in wolf's clothing. I've seen this type of woman constantly. They're looking for a male provider, and they want to pretend that they're not a misandrist. And they said, I've learned. If you want to put this woman to some kind of task, tell her to join the men's rights movement and denounce feminism and say it's a hate movement. She will never do that.
Like, I couldn't just let him have his moment of being excited to be a father. Like, I had to scrutinize every little detail. And I was convinced that this man is probably just a sexist who hates women and hates girls, and that's why he wants a boy.
Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally lost it.
Not finally. Not finally, Zed. Like, that's why I pointed this out right from the beginning. 1960s, First World War. This is not finally. This has been going on from the dawn of time. Women have always felt this way about men.
You as a man cannot be excited or look forward to or want to have a beautiful baby boy. Why? Because we know the state of affairs when it comes to gender topics today. You know, why do you want a boy? You think boys are better than women?
Again, it's not about today. This has been going on for decades and decades.
I mean, what's wrong with you? Drink some tea.
No, I'll have a tea actually.
What do you know on it?
I guess coffee is the new brew. You know, like the new beer. Zed, I like coffee better than tea. That's true, but I don't give a shit about someone liking tea, right?
Honesty, man, I'm not surprised. Imagine as a man, if somebody asked
I'm just bringing it up to say this is more real man talk.
you, so what do you want? You want a boy or you want a girl? There's a moment there where you're thinking, and you know, if you say boy, then part of society would look at that as why, right? Why?
No, they're not asking you why. When they ask you why, what they're really saying is we don't like guys. And we don't want you celebrating the fact that you're having a boy. You know, the question is rhetorical. So you got to come to that.
And this has to do with like the purposefully grayed out lines that we have right now when it comes to gender, men and women. If you say, well, I want to.
Okay, so your problem is grayed out. So your issue isn't that these women have hostility towards us and little boys who are babies. Your issue is more this men aren't men and women aren't women stuff. This is very tradcon. This is very anti-male at its core.
Boy, so I can teach him how to fight. You could do that with the woman.
Really? So you want a boy to teach him how to fight? Right. So how are you much any different from this woman talking? Sorry, Zed. You should want a boy because you want a boy, because he's an adorable little boy. So you're basically saying you want a boy because they're useful. You want to teach him how to fight.
Right? Or I want a boy because I want him to be highly competitive. Well, can't women be highly competitive? And
Well, they can, but they don't need to be. They don't need to be. And why would you need your little boy to be competitive? Competitive for what? So you want your little boy to work for you. This is actually true, Zed. This is something you've admitted to. When you talk about this, you're saying you want a little boy to work for you. That's what boys have always been anyway. That's why in the past, guys used to prefer boys, because the boys would do the fighting for them. They'd do the hard labor for them, and they would carry on their name. So you as an individual would never die, sort of thing, right? Little boys are used people. And right now, I can tell you that men don't really care about the gender anymore, because they have no use for the boys. Technology has wrested that from us, so that, little boys are no more useful than little girls. And I find guys don't really care that much.
Because we've blurred the definitions of what is a woman or gender roles. Should women be feminine? Should men be masculine?
When you say women feminine, what you mean is, should women be attractive to me? That's all that feminine means. So you're lamenting that women may not make themselves pretty for you or something, or appeal to you on a sexual level. This is neither here nor there. It's not important.
Masculine. You guys know what I stand for here on this channel. Then you shouldn't want to have a man. You shouldn't want to have a boy, right? Society.
Okay, this is begging. You should want to have a boy, man or a boy. This is begging.
Kind of feeds into this type of an idea. But let's listen to what else she has to say.
But then, he can't win, because if he found out he was having a girl and he was celebrating that hard over having a baby girl, I would automatically assume he was a predator. I would be like...
Okay, so this woman just admitted that she hates your guts because you're a man. She's aiming for your crotch. The pedo smear is fairly new, and it's used constantly, though, because it's the lowest thing you can do to a man. And so this woman is admitting it. So why should I see her as anything but my enemy? And also, here's another thing, Zed, you should get into your head. Anything women accuse men of is projection. So when she said that, is she the one who finds little children attractive? I want you to think about that.
Got him. Lock him up. No, that's it.
It gets worse. It gets worse. Not only can you want to... Not only can you not want a beautiful baby boy, right, to raise up to be a man, to maybe you want a replica of yourselves. A bunch of Chisha replicas.
Well, thank you for admitting it. This is not about the boy as a human being. You want him as a replica of yourself. Thank you for admitting that. So, I mean, Zed, a baby boy is not going to win out any more with you than that harlot there saying how men are pedophiles.
Because now that's good coffee. No, I'm just kidding. But really, guys, think about this. You cannot want a boy if you're a man, and you can't celebrate too hard if you want a girl, because now you're looking weird, bro.
I hope he's saying that satirically, of course. It sounds like he is, of course. Yeah, but why are you laughing? You should be angry at the fact that someone is smearing your reputation with the worst kind of accusation they can, just because they hate your guts, because of the way you were born.
That's a weird situation to be in as a man.
It's not weird. It's vicious. If a white man was saying this to you, Zed, you wouldn't be laughing and saying this is weird. You'd be calling him your enemy, and you'd be calling him out and saying something's going to be done about this guy. That's what you'd be saying. And that is should be your attitude to this man hater that you are showing here.
Man, like, even if you're excited, you're like, yes, you know, yeah, you got to celebrate calmly. This is tough. Why is it like this? I'll tell you why.
Because women don't like men. They've been telling us that for 100 years now and more. That's why.
It's like this. I'll tell you why the first thing definitely exists. And that's because there's a very real effort to shun all things masculine today. It's very real. For example, take a look at this post I saw recently that came from whatever company.
Well, men are being attacked, to be more precise. Effeminate men are attacked just as much as masculine men. So just understand that.
Produces M&Ms, right? This was shared. It says all female M&Ms, January 10. M&Ms is.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the M&Ms. We'll get by that.
After M&M's inspired memes when it swapped the green M&M's go-go boots for, because they are the, you know, women spend money. They are the buying.
I want to back that up. I think that's important what he has to say here.
Effort to be more inclusive. And the more inclusive they are, the more.
Yes, the more inclusive, this is important.
They cater to women because they.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for blotting up. I might want to hear that again here. Let me make sure we heard that right.
And the more inclusive they are, the more they cater to women.
Thank you, Zed. You're admitting it. Inclusivity means anti-men. That's what it is. It's just it's not just an excuse. It's a gaslighting term. They pretend, the hate movement pretends that it's inclusive, but actually it's exclusive. It's excluding men. So when you hear the word inclusive, you know it's man-hating.
Because they are the, you know, women spend money. They are the buying class, right? Women.
Exactly. Thanks you for admitting that. So you're going to get together with women and you're going to be the workhorse and they're the ones to spend your money. Right. Exactly. Thanks for admitting that.
Spend the most money. In fact, they're in charge of most spending when it comes to even households and like in marriages with families. But
exactly. So you should be anti-marriage, right? If you want to get together with a woman, she's in charge. You're the worker. You're the proletariat, and she's the ruling class. That's right.
What did the people have to say about that particular story? You'd be surprised. Most people, like this commenter, says, what's next? They/them?
You see, I'm not surprised with this. This is the very issue, sorry, Zed, of this TradCon horseshit. This guy, Noah, should be pissed that men are being attacked. And what does he do? He derails it to the trans issue. And this is why men have lost for generations now. Generations. Because a woman slaps a man in the face and then he goes to find another man to punch out. That's what's going on here.
And M's? 517 likes. So Noah here thinks they're going a little bit too far. Another person here added, this is stupid.
So a little bit too far. Oh, I see. So attacking men for being men is a little bit too far. Right. And then he talks about trans.
This thing I've ever heard.
So what? It's not stupid. It's vicious. So this woman, Abby, of course, is just like you. She doesn't want to admit the viciousness women have towards men. So they play it as if it's dumb, right? They're ignorant or they don't know what they're doing or they don't have brain cells. No. The KKK, you don't call them stupid when they come after you. Do you? Said. Right. So these people aren't stupid either.
64 likes. Another comment from another person reads, they already have them. The ones without nuts. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Another comment here from another person says, and they cost 18% less than normal M&Ms. I think this is a joke. I'm missing it. She can help
Well, it shows you you don't know what's going on in the world. They're talking about the wage gap again. That's been debunked thousands and thousands of times.
me understand. I appreciate it. Another comment here from another gentleman says, nothing sells inclusivity less than excluding an entire gender.
Yeah, see, so he's calling it out for what it is. But his problem is, again, he's framing it as if it's stupidity. It's not stupidity. It's not ironic. It is what it is. It's hatred. There. I had to get past the M&M's thing.
So back to the chick who basically said, hey, I had a problem with the man celebrating with the fact that he was going to have a boy. And then she thought about it and said, you know, I thought about him celebrating that hard for a girl too. And that to me would have been weird. And she recognized that because of traumatic experiences that she's been through.
Okay, so this guy, Zed, is going to give in to some bullshit story she gave to. Zed, again, I'm going to point out these movements. Thousands upon thousands of women call men rapists and have been attacking us for being men. There's never been a counter movement of women, ever. So this is natural. So you're not fooling me with this idea that this woman was fooled or hypnotized.
Which could be legitimate. That she's
No, it's not
conditioned.
legitimate. You just assume women have been lying, telling these stories forever. We live in false accusation times. We know that they lie constantly. This is just another lie. This woman admitted how she really feels about men and little boys, helpless children. That's what you go by.
To think this way also, right? I think most women think that way.
Thank you for admitting that. So they think that way because it's in their nature.
At least the first part is,
No, both parts.
if you want a boy, then you must think boys are better. Well, what if you just want a boy? And what if the things that you want to do, the things that you enjoy doing, are things that most men are inclined to enjoy, like more combat sports or, you know, things like that, etc. Man stuff. Let's see what the people had to say in response to that chick. First comment here comes from a woman. She says, it's not like we created this feeling in a vacuum, though.
Yes, see what I'm talking about? This woman is showing what women really think. You know, Zed, that men worship women. So when women say this, they're spitting on men. This is how women actually feel about us.
So she's saying you might have some legitimacy to how you feel. Another chick here says,
Her hatred has no legitimacy.
do that too, and I honestly think TikTok doesn't help for this.
Again, they're making excuses for their own desires. Again, Zed, TikTok cannot be blamed. TikTok cannot be blamed because this has gone on way before the internet.
Okay, so she's acknowledging, which I think is a pretty good point. Another woman.
No, she's not acknowledging anything.
Here says, I catch myself doing this too. I honestly think it's better to be worried than not. Your intuition is probably right.
Yeah, see, she's admitting too. She hates us guys. Tell me, do you want to engage with people whose instincts are to hate your guts, but they like to think of themselves as good people, so they're going to dial it back? That's what you're going to go for, Zed? Not me.
It's probably not. It's probably not right. I believe most men today want boys, and you're assuming that those men who want...
I disagree with that. I think men don't care. Or I should say, I know men don't care. Men, matter of fact, little boys, like you just admitting, if you had a son, you'd be teaching him how to fight. Boys are just used people. I suggest men actually prefer little girls because when they have them, they love them for themselves. And the little girl doesn't have to learn anything or know anything or do anything, but be yourself.
Boys must be sexist is wrong. But again, this effort everywhere to feminize men and women so that they're easily controlled.
No, 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 no. This isn't about feminizing anyone. This is hardcore cope by ChishaZed here. And this is also, it's also a hatred to men too. So what you're saying is that if you saw an effeminate man, you would feel disgust towards him, just like these women have disgust towards you and me. That's all you're saying. That's all you're admitting.
Because they'll be easily emotional, less disagreeable. Men are more disagreeable than women. Contributes to a lot of this. Next comment, this one comes from a gentleman, says, I know the feeling. A girl put something in my drink once. Now I'm unable to accept anything a girl tries to give me out of fear.
Now, I believe this man's story. Anytime a man makes a story, tells a story, he's telling the truth. When a woman says it, I just immediately see it as a lie. Because women have made up these stories constantly to attack men. Men don't want to attack women. That woman put something in his drink, and she did it just because she likes to screw around with men. And he has the right attitude. And he has the right attitude because this woman you showed earlier exclaimed her own hatred towards men. So men have a right to fear women.
And I understand where this guy's coming from. He's saying, hey, you know, I had bad experiences, and now I kind of look at women in a shady way. And props to the chick in the video, right? At least she was able to acknowledge that she has this very negative view.
I don't give this woman any props. This woman is not saying that because she wants to be a better person. She wants to be seen as a better person and get a male provider. That's what she's doing. She's suckering guys like you, Zed.
Towards men, fathers in particular. So that takes being able to be introspective. Props to her. I don't think most women who go around calling certain men sexist actually experience that in their day-to-day lives.
Finally, you said something that was true. No, they don't. Not most women, all women. Women do not suffer sexism. Men suffer sexism. They just say that because they want to attack us. That's it. You've got to come to those terms, Zed.
I just don't think that's the case. But if her view stems from a traumatic experience, I definitely could see why.
Okay, now you're giving into a false frame. This woman you showed earlier, she didn't say that because she had a traumatic experience. She said that because this is how women feel. You showed a bunch of quotes here where women were saying that, expressing their dislike of men. So don't bother giving into the framework. All you guys are the same way. You want to pander to women. You don't want to fight women, and you want to be friends with them. And so you're willing to bypass their hatred towards you. Not this guy. Homie, don't do that.
Props to her for wanting to work on that. Another comment here from a woman says, same, my boyfriend and I have been working on this together because I really hate feeling like that about literally every man. Damn, literally every man?
There you go. She admitted. So again, these are women's instincts. See, she said literally every man. So this isn't due to something one man did to her. This is the base, the starting point, Zed. You have to come to terms with this.
Creator responded back to that chick and says, yeah, it's draining. I'm suspicious of all of them. Yeah, that's no good. A gentleman here added, you're excused. I'm so happy that you realized your problems that stems from trauma.
Yeah, so this guy here fell for it as well. No, she isn't excused, Alex. Let's see if I have to go through any more of this. What's this? Here we are, taking my nephew away. Let's hear what that has to say.
In your shoes also after women have sued me. They have taken my nephew away, but the hate is also not the right thing to do. We can hate those that hurt us, not those we have never met. And I will go.
Okay, so this is another olive brancher. This is another guy who's been wronged, but not just wronged. He's been shown how women feel about men. And instead of internalizing it and realizing it, he's still trying to negotiate. The negotiating phase, Zed, of men towards women should have been done in the 1960s. In the 1960s, when they went into the streets and showed their true feelings about us. Okay?
Go further to say that if you're able to get over that hate, because that takes work to carry hate and hate other people. And, you know,
I don't think so. I think women hate men with the greatest of ease, and it doesn't bother them at all.
Work over healing. I don't know how new this experience with this guy is that's the goal, right? Next comment from another woman says, this is less your fault and more honestly result of reality. Oh, so here we have a woman who's saying, hey, you're justified in the way that you think. And
there you go. Thank you again. So these women are telling you, Zed, how women actually feel. You've seen enough of these comments. So what should your conclusion be? It should be that women don't particularly like men. That's what it should be.
Men who want boys. She goes on to say, it's hard to unsee things, especially repeating patterns. You see it that way because it is too often is that way. I disagree with that. Another guy responded back to that woman and says, the internet has skewed people's views completely on the world.
This is coping. Because again, all this is pre-internet by decades. All the internet, there's two things the internet have done. One, it's allowed women to spread their hatred even more effectively. And two, it's made men so aware that they can't ignore it anymore. So what do? You blame the internet instead of dealing with the problem.
Mainly only the negatives that stick with us. This is true. He goes on to add, I feel like TikTok has been one of the main perpetrators for creating...
Okay, then this guy's a loser. Luke, is that your name? Luke Brody? You're a loser. Sorry, we're past the time that we have to play nice to these guys. The average man on the street, he's embarrassing. It's about time you come out of this funk. The olive branch has to be put away. Oh, by the way, he says creating a gender war. There is no war because a war would suggest that two sides are fighting. Zed and Luke, there is no two sides fighting. There's women stomping on men's faces perpetually and men taking it. That's what's going on. This is a beatdown. Oh, sorry. Good men and women should be banding together. That is the biggest cope cry I have ever heard. All these good women that are nowhere around, like when all these women are marching the street, pissing on men, where is the counter group? Hey, where's the counter group, Chisa? Nowhere, right?
And added, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel a bad way about certain stuff when it comes to women, but I try to ignore it and give people a chance.
Exactly. He sees the bad in women, and what does this guy typically do? He tries to ignore it. It keeps his head down and hopes that nothing bad happens to him. If something bad happens to him, dust yourself off and keep going. Men really know their place. And I have to say, Chisa, so do you. Now let's see if there's anything worth looking at beyond this. Well, no, it's just more begging. It's more talking about the gender war and masculine man and begging women to be nice. Sorry, Chisa, you have failed. No offense to you. I mean, but you're just a typical guy. And this is why you're the reason why things are the way it happens. If men stood up for themselves as people, then none of this would happen. It would all just fold. It's because men are always ignoring the problem, denying the problem, holding out the olive branch, still, begging women to be nice to them. That is the issue. That's the problem. You are the problem. And we'll end it here.